This is Lagos, and if you've ever lived through a rainy season here, you know it's also known for something else.
An ordinary rainy morning became a struggle.
All our houses are full of water. And some people are packing out from here because water entered inside there.
And the people here say they have no idea when this water will recede.
Just this year, in June 2026, before the rainy season had even hit its peak, a single Sunday downpour put much of the city underwater, and it reached places that by reputation simply don't flood. Parts of Bagada, one of the mainland's most elevated, supposedly flood-safe addresses, went knee-deep. One resident put it bluntly, born and raised in Bagada, and he'd never once seen it flood like that in his life. Now, when the dry high-ground neighborhoods start going under, you are no longer looking at a few unlucky low spots. You are looking at a system that's failing everywhere at once. And despite drainage master plans, despite billions of naira spent every year, clearing channels and building defenses, Lagos floods on schedule. And every major study of the problem keeps arriving at the same uncomfortable conclusion. So why does Lagos flood every year? And is there anything we can actually do to solve this problem? Let's take a look at the first question. And the honest answer is that Lagos floods for reasons that have almost nothing to do with how much rain falls and almost everything to do with where the city sits. Start with the trap built into the geography. Lagos drains by gravity. Rainwater is supposed to run down through the channels into the lagoon and out to the Atlantic. But most of the city sits barely above sea level. Large parts of the mainland are only a few meters up, and some of the oldest areas are right at the waterline. That creates a problem that has nothing to do with how clean your drains are. When a heavy downpour lands at the same time as a high tide, the lagoon and the sea rise sometimes by more than a meter. And when the water you are draining into is as high as the water you are draining from, the system stops working. The drains don't just fail to empty, the water flows backwards. Now layer the city on top of that. As Lagos has grown, it has paved over and filled in the very lands that used to absorb water. Wetlands and mangroves work like a sponge. They soak up rain and it releases it slowly. Everyone that gets sand filled for an estate or a road is replaced by concrete, a surface that absorbs nothing. So more water hits the ground faster with fewer places to go. And then there's the unglamorous one, trash. Lagos generates enormous volumes of waste. Collection is patchy and a lot of it ends up in the canals. Plastic, tires, debris, choking the channels that are supposed to carry water away. So even the drainage that exists often can't do its job. Put it together and you get a city that is low, paved, crowded and partly clogged, draining into water that is frequently too high to accept it. That's the answer to the first question. And notice what it means. This isn't a maintenance problem, it's the problem with the system itself, which is exactly where Lagos keeps going wrong. So the city keeps spending on the symptom, water on the ground, while every one of the real causes keeps growing. And that's why in 10 years, Lagos will be having this exact conversation again. You can already see where that road ends, because another city has walked all the way down it. Jakarta in Indonesia is built on the same kind of low, swampy coastal ground. It paved over its absorbent land and overpumped its groundwater until the city itself began to sink. Today, around 40% of it sits below sea level. The response was harder engineering, including a multi-billion-dollar coastal seawall. It didn't fix the cause. In the end, Indonesia decided to move the capital, building a whole new city hundreds of kilometers away, because that was easier than saving the one that's drowning. But here's the thing, Lagos doesn't have to follow Jakarta off that cliff, which brings us back to the second question we started with. Is there actually anything we can do? And here's the good news, there is. It comes down to roughly 4 moves, and Lagos needs all of them, not just one. Number 1, stop making it worse. The cheapest flood controlling measure available is to stop destroying what's left of the sponge. That means actually enforcing a halt on the sand filling of wetlands and the building on drainage setbacks, not as an annual press release, but as a law with teeth. Every wetland left intact is free flood storage the city doesn't have to build. Right now, Lagos is paying to drain water, it is simultaneously paying developers to create. 2. Rebuild the sponge. This is the Rotterdam approach. Rotterdam sits on a river delta, much of it below sea level. By every measure, it should flood worse than Lagos. Instead, it treats the city as a sponge. It builds water squares, public plazas, and basketball courts that stay dry most of the year and deliberately fill up during the rainy season, holding the water and releasing it slowly. It uses green roofs, permeable pavement, parks designed to flood on purpose. A Lagos version would be parks, retention ponds, and open ground allowed to soak instead of being paved, buying the drains time during the worst of a storm. 3. Solve the tide problem directly. Remember, the drains often can't empty because the lagoon is too high, so clearing them harder will never be the answer. The Dutch solution for land below sea level is tide gates and pumped drainages, barriers that stop the sea pushing back in and pumps that lift stormwater out when gravity can't. Tokyo, which is also low and flood prone, went further and built the largest underground flood diversion system in the world, a network of giant tunnels and silos that swallows the overflow from swollen rivers and pumps it away. It's expensive, but it's a real answer to the exact failure Lagos has, instead of pretending the tidal lock isn't happening. 4. Fix the boring thing. None of the above works if the channels are full of plastic. A real funded, reliable waste collection system isn't glamorous and it won't trend on social media, but a drain choked with rubbish is a drain that floods full stop. It's the most achievable item on this list and arguably the highest return. And here's the honest part that ties it all together. There is no single project that fixes this. No one canal, no one seawall, no one demolition. It's a sustained decades-long commitment to a different philosophy. Protect the sponge, rebuild absorption, manage the tide, clear the waste, applied all across the city, not just the parts where the wealthy and influential live. The water has a perfect memory for where it used to go, and until the city decides to work with that instead of against it, no amount of money spent on bigger drains will change what happens the next time the sky opens up. The flooding in Bagada wasn't a freak event, it was a preview.